I mean, when we look back, 3-0, 100 Thieves not to make champions. You know, you go to Iceland for your first LAN, you don't win a series. It's like we went through a lot of losing in high pressure moments in order to get ready for this. And really, I could confidently say this for myself and my team, we weren't going to let this one slip. We couldn't.
Time becoming an issue. Shock dart sent out preemptively. No one home. Start gets placed. It's a Nebula. EU tries to hang on to it, but no! It's Trent to find the final kill!
He was right. Despite a tumultuous season of challengers, despite the loss of their coach at the start of the year, despite the loss of their star duelist player, despite everything, the Guard came out on top. They proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are the most deserving team of a franchising slot. And having followed them for so long now, I just can't wait to see what they do in 2020.
The Guard have just not done it. They've just, haha, we're just not going to sign. And that's left the players and the org in a, and Riot actually, in a horrendous spot where they have to figure out what the best circumstance would be. And Riot have decided not to pick the best answer to the scenario. And, in my opinion, pick the worst. And they've gone with, we just won't have anyone win America's Ascension.
Welcome back to VCT Team Preview, the only series breaking down every America's League team before the start of the 2024 season. And while this video is technically about G2 esports, we can't go much further without first discussing the reason they even have a team to begin with, and that is the Guard. In the short time that they have existed within the space, the Guard has created waves among the Valorant community. In late 2021, the Guard would enter the Valorant scene. Despite the organization already having established teams within the Overwatch League and CDL, no one really knew what to expect from this organization. Early on, the team established the core of Valyn, Jonahp, Saya Player, and Net. Besides Jonahp and Saya, these weren't established names within the VCT circuit. But once newcomer Trent was officially signed to the team in January of 2022, everyone would soon know who they were.
It's a possibility trying to find it out. Trent, he finds it! And now it's a 1 versus 1. Unaware of the position of the other, last known, in close, a single bullet, a reveal, a wallbang! It is Trent!
They took the VCT scene by storm. They flew through the open qualifiers with only a single loss to Team XSET on their way to the group stage. Here, they would begin to play much stronger established teams among the likes of Cloud9, 100 Thieves, and Luminosity. They handled them with no issue, once again making it through with only a singular loss to a surging Cloud9 team. You know, the good one before they shipped Zeta off to Korea? Come playoffs, they would establish themselves as the top dogs of the region, taking down everyone's #1 team in Optic Gaming. The team was very fundamentally solid. Their strats were well practiced. They had star players in Saya and Trent who could take on anyone in the region head-on, and were evidently very well coached by up-and-coming coach MCE. They played with a lot of discipline and rarely gave up advantages once they had secured them within a round. They played like a true professional team, unlike other teams in VCT at the time who made more mistakes in a round than I could even count. Sorry, TSM. Their win over Optic proved beyond anything that they would be serious contenders in the Valorant scene moving forward, especially with their first international tournament coming up, Masters Reykjavik. The story of the Guard has been amazing to follow over these last few months, and I think they, along with Optic, have a very solid chance of bringing home the trophy at the upcoming Masters Reykjavik tournament. Yep, I was wrong. On April 3rd, 2022, I made a video documenting the Guard's rise through NA VCT heading into their first international tournament. And you can still check it out today if you're more curious about their story. But at the end of that video, I made a bold proclamation essentially stating that the Guard had a very solid chance of bringing home the trophy at Reykjavik. And as you probably already know, it didn't really pan out that way. I severely underestimated how much the lack of LAN experience and playing in front of a crowd could impact their game. Nowhere was this more evident than in their first game against familiar NA opponents in Optic. They were up 10-4 on Fracture in the final map of the series. Normally, they would easily be able to close out a game like this, but under the pressure of the tournament, the crowd, and Optic's veteran experience, they fumbled the series. and soon after left the tournament with a lower bracket loss to PaperX. It was a very disappointing defeat for a very promising team. I pretty much knew the tournament was doomed once their star player Trent found out he couldn't listen to music while on stage, and basically lost most of his ability to play the game. It was an unfortunate tournament run, but at the end of the day, it was a learning experience for the team. Having had a taste of true defeat unfortunately bled into their confidence and gameplay once they headed back to NA. They were terrible in Stage 2 of NA VCT and failed to qualify for the second major tournament of the year, Masters Copenhagen. The team would then play in the NA Last Chance qualifiers for one final shot at a spot at Champions 2022. While they came close, making it to the finals against 100 Thieves, they eventually did come up short as they lost the series 3-0, marking an end to their year. While the season didn't end the way they would have liked it to, 2022 was still a breakout year for the Guard and allowed the players to make a name for themselves. Moving into the 2023 season, the team had to retool some of their pieces. With Riot moving VCT from the open circuit format to the franchising model, this changed a lot for the Guard. They lost their head coach MCE to franchise team Cloud9, which was a large blow to the team considering how highly each of the players spoke of him and his impact on their growth and success over the past year. To make matters worse, the team lost their star duelist Saya player to the T1 organization over in Korea. While the players had very tempting offers from various tier 1 teams, they actually opted to stay together. They wanted to take more time to develop as players and as a team. They trusted in each other and knew if they stuck it out, they could win Ascension and make it into VCT. The team opted to pick up Tex of NRG to fill the shoes of Saya and Josh RT to be their new head coach. Tex had previously played a lot of Chamber and Duelist in the season before, and while he definitely had some peaks in his gameplay, he wasn't considered by many to be a true top duelist in the North American region. So with the removal of their coach and one of their best players, many weren't sure how the Guard would fare in the 2023 season, but like I showed you in the intro, 2023 was a very successful year for the team.
This is very late.
Out some of the C-mount position. Tex stepping forward. Goodness, this
Oh
is
my.
a challenge he doesn't want. Are you kidding me? Tex is having his way.
They once again hit the ground running in VCT Challengers. They started racking up wins and quickly established themselves as the team to beat once again. They did stumble in the mid-season showdown against G2, but that was more due to G2 being on an incredible hot streak with their duelist player Oxy looking like the second coming of tens at times.
Shot misses though. Dash charge, second opportunity. That one lands. Fault line does not quite connect. Oxy still has a chance to make more. Punish happen. He gets the second, and then the dash through. Knives are out. Oh my goodness! Oxy gets 4.
Come Split 2, they got right back on track, finishing second place in their group. But when it came to playoffs, they started their run a bit shakily with an early loss to Moist, sending them down to the lower bracket. But they quickly shifted into 5th gear knowing their entire season and chances at franchising were on the line.
Us as players came together and we got a boot camp for ourselves, like as the players. So we were able to go to V1, and since then, we didn't lose a single map in the lower bracket and we clean sweeped it. And that's where I would say like our confidence was at the all-time high.
They stormed the lower bracket, not dropping a single map en route to the NA Grand Finals. It was there they would eventually lose to M80, the team that was a thorn in their side all season long. But more importantly, by securing a top 2 placing in Challengers North America, they would qualify for the Ascension tournament in Brazil later in the year, where the winner would take a franchising slot in VCT Americas for the upcoming 2024 season. There were some dangerous teams in this tournament, namely the Brazilian powerhouse, the Union, the new best team in Brazil since Loud had left the region, and of course M80, the team that seemingly had their number all year long in NA. Regardless, the Guard had every reason to believe they could come out as the victors. They were consistently a top team in the region and they knew they could compete with the very best. While they were already great players in 2022, 2023 really showed progression for these players. Their core seemed to only grow stronger as the year progressed, and Tex, their newest member, had elevated his game to a new level we had never seen before. In 2023, he went from an average player to arguably the best duelist in all of Tier 2. His consistency is what really shone for me. There were of course other superstars in the region like Oxy and Koala Noob. They had their moments, but when it came to consistently getting impact and numbers in the server, it felt like Tex always showed up for the team. They fought their way through the Ascension tournament with only a single map loss to the Union. They had firmly taken a spot in the Grand Finals, but it was there in the Grand Finals where they would face their NA brothers in M80. M80 had won both the mid-season tournament and split 2 playoffs en route to Brazil, and they had spouted a winning record against the Guard up until this point. This would be the Guard's greatest challenge yet, but like Valyn had said, no matter the cost, they would make sure to do whatever was necessary to secure the win. They took what was theirs.
Standard defense, John Cutie trying to hold his life with just the entirety of the utility kit, but Tex still finds the first tap. EU trying to hold on to the site, but it's Jonahp to best him. And then the follow-up not going to be there at all. Wow, clean entry from the Guard considering the circumstances. And now it's just down to Jonahp. Well, don't sleep on him, but the right click misses instead of the Guard are hitting through the defensive side spawn. A bit of a reveal off Trent's utility that there is one member playing over, and the taps are starting to land. The Guard are pulling this one back. It's just down to one in the corner, and the Guardian, because of that backup, and they'll leave Jonahp to lurk. He's actually looking for a couple, and he gets a bit of a lineup. Jonahp shuts him down, but no, not gonna happen. Aldrone trying to follow on in. And now Trent tries to get to work, dancing with the devil. Jonahp slips away. Hit still on the way though, and the follow from Tex is perfect. John Cutie still holding over towards Art Stairs. Can he find anything on this reopening? EU gets his utility and Prowler's gonna connect. The follow-up from Nizzle from behind. Oh, they're gonna find a couple of trades. To the 3v3 we go. Jonahp, Net trying to hang on. Pinstripe goes the kill feed. Shock Dart chips away at EU, but the health pull for Net is what's most critical at the moment. Time becoming an issue. Shock Dart sent out preemptively, no one home. Start gets placed. It's a Nebula. EU tries to hang on to it, but no! It's Trent to find the final kill! Been 471 days since the rookies made it to Reykjavik, but
the win meant the world to them, a culmination of everything they had worked towards. They had made it into VCT. But as you know by now, it was a very short-lived celebration. Early into the offseason, Riot would announce that because the organization had failed to sign the team participation agreement, they would not promote the team, or any team for that matter, and would continue to operate the Americas League in 2024 with only the original 10 partnered teams. No one knew why the Guard failed to sign the TPA. Presumably, the organization wanted to be in franchising, right? Why would they continue to field a Tier 2 team if they weren't planning to enter Tier 1 to begin with? It was no secret the organization laid off a huge portion of their staff at the start of the year and only operated the team with a skeleton crew of a few members. If they were willing to continue to field a roster for the whole year, surely the only reason was because they still had hope the team could win Ascension. It still remains a mystery up until now as to why they did this, but for the players on the Guard, Riot's decision couldn't have been more harsh. It felt like their entire year had been a waste. The only reason they stayed together to begin with was to make it into the league together. They had other offers on the table before the start of the season, but they had all trusted in the vision. And now it looked like their opportunity to play in franchising together had been ripped away from their hands. But on September 1st, 2023, a miracle swept the Valorant scene. Riot would announce that the player contracts of all the Guard members were released and that they were free to find an organization to compete for in the upcoming VCT 2024 season. It really felt as though the voices of the community really pulled through in this situation. Without the massive backlash Riot had received from the community online, who knows if they would have reversed their decision. But every VCT fan knew it would have been an injustice to not see this team play in franchising for the upcoming season. I couldn't be more happy to see how the community all came together for this one. In comes G2 Esports. On September 22nd, it was announced that G2 would be the 11th team playing in VCT Americas, having signed the majority of the former Guard roster. The only player missing was Tex. He opted to explore his options in the offseason and landed a spot with Leviathan for the upcoming season. And looking at who he has playing alongside him, they are looking to be a powerhouse team in the upcoming season. To replace Tex, G2 brought in duelist player Leaf of Cloud9. Early into the VCT Americas season, Leaf was playing mostly Killjoy and Skye for Cloud9. But once he made the swap to primary duelist, everything started clicking for that team. He quickly rose up the ranks of NA. He was the second highest rated duelist player in the Americas League behind superstar Loud player Aspas. His Jet and Neon were absolutely top tier, and he started having much more impact in the server over his time playing Flex. His pivot back to Duelist was a major factor for Cloud9 being able to have such a successful regular season and finishing second in the standings. He's easily the best guy they could have gotten to replace Tex, and given his age and personality, I think he'll fit right in with the rest of the roster. So how will G2 place in the upcoming VCT season? I have a lot of respect for this team. As someone who has followed their story for the last 2 years, I couldn't be more happy that they were the team that came out on top in the Ascension tournament. They've always been a fundamentally sound team who don't make silly mistakes. They have great team coordination and have a level of chemistry that can only come from playing with each other for years now. They carry themselves like true professionals, always doing their homework and studying their opponents to the best of their abilities. What I also love about this team is that they really have no ego. They've beaten some great teams in their time. They bested Optic as they were nearing their peak, beat Sentinels many times, and took down M80 and the Union at Ascension. Not once did you ever see these wins get to their head. They always remained humble and had great respect for their opponents, something we can't say for all players. I think taking the development year in Challengers 2023 was truly the best decision for the team. I can now confidently say their players look ready for the big leagues. The problem of not showing up in high-pressure situations is clearly now gone after their dominant performance at Ascension, a tournament where they had to play the most important matches of their careers in front of thousands of Brazilian fans. Furthermore, something I really do think can give them the edge over a lot of teams over the course of a long season is their sense of brotherhood and camaraderie. When the going gets tough, they know they can lean on each other and give proper feedback when no player will get hurt or upset.
The most important is that we're just great friends outside of the game. We celebrate our wins with each other. We get over losses together. And like, dude, all these things, I'm telling you, a lot of these teams don't have. Like, they don't have this like brotherhood like we do. And I think that's what the buff is that like, dude, during Brazil, we didn't scrim once. We literally just spent every day like self-preparing as like in-game. And then we would just like chill, like play Uno in our hotel room all night. We would just play Uno for like 3 hours and just bond and have fun with each other.
They've truly fostered one of the best team cultures in recent years. Now having added the second best duelist in the league, they surely have the firepower to contend with the very best. And while still very young, Valyn has blossomed into a capable leader, wise beyond his years. I'm looking to place G2 in a top 4 position in the league, personally leaning more towards the 3rd place position above Sentinels. Having a bunch of star players on your team is one thing, but having 5 guys that all trust and believe in the same goal is something completely different altogether. While they have already written a beautiful story in the hearts of many Valorant fans, in many ways, it still feels as though their true story is just about to begin.